Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I was recently working on one of my quads, the Flywoo Mr. Croc, and it had Bluetooth in it, and I got a chance to try it out for the first time doing a Bluetooth configuration with Speedybee on Betaflight, and I thought, man, that's actually really nice. And I went out and did a little research and found the Bluetooth module that they used on that particular quad and decided I'm going to show people how to do it, because I've actually looked into this before and I couldn't find a Bluetooth module that I knew for a fact would work. It took me some trial and error to find one that I knew would work. So I found these little Flywoo BT Nano V2 modules out there on Pyrodrone, and here are some specs on those real quick. They are input voltage of 3.3 to 5 volts. They have a 7-meter transmission distance, and they use a baud rate of 115,200. And there's a little information about the MCU that they use. Very lightweight too, 0.4 grams, nothing to it. So I just figured it's going to be a fairly quick video. It's not very complicated, but I'm putting it together because I had never seen it done before. And I thought it might be nice just to see how it works and how to configure Betaflight and how the little app works. So we'll just get into this real quick. And I also mentioned that when I bought these, they were in stock, and I put a little notification on Patreon, and I don't know if that contributed or not, but it looks like they're out of stock. So the part number is called a Flywoo BT Nano V2. So you might have to search for this out there elsewhere and not use the links that I gave, but I do have the Amazon links. Looks like they have them. Get FPV. So if you're in the US, Get FPV has them, and I have a link for that on Amazon in the description. So here you go. This is the module, little tiny thing. I did notice that there's no heat shrink with it, so that's a little disappointing because you don't. I would want heat shrink on this, that's for sure. So little tiny module. There's a little antenna right there, and real simple configuration. It's TRGV. So what I'm going to do, the GV obviously is ground and volts, and TR is transmit receive. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided tape down, and I'm going to put this on my work surface, so while I'm soldering it doesn't move. So there we go. That'll just kind of keep it in place so it doesn't move around. Then they give you the wires that you need, and then the flight controller that I'm using is my this is one of the reasons I did that. I wanted to have a test platform that I could use to test stuff like this and see how it works without having to take apart a quad. So anyway, these wires are already tinned, but we do have to tin the Bluetooth module and the board. And while I'm pulling this apart, let me check the comments and say hello to you guys. So FL Engineer wants to know when I'm going to do an iNav quad. Maybe soon. Maybe soon. I might do that soon. I have another idea for a quad that I'm working on the details on right now, and maybe soon. By the way, guys, the Mr. Croc is going back. I tried one more time stealing PIDs from the Nazgul 5 V2, and I just still see an oscillation. And like I said, I'm not really in the mood to start a PID tuning project. So I talked to the retailer, and they said no problem, they'll honor a return. So we've worked out an RMA, and I'll be sending the Flywoo Mr. Croc back. And I haven't exactly decided what I'm going to do yet, but I have a pretty good idea to replace that. So just a heads up on that. Anyway, let's see, who else do we have in here yet? K. Anthony, hello from Great Britain. He got his copy of Flight Dynamics today. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good book, isn't it? It's a really good book. It's a little bit of a read. You know, you gotta sit down and be a little dedicated to get through it. But man, it's a good book. Hey, one thing about these pads, I don't know if you guys can see it, but these pads, especially compared to so many other things that we work on, they look like they're very easy to reach. So just throwing that out there, that these solder pads on this Bluetooth module are really easy to get to. So let's see, Carlos Paoletti, hello. Drone Pilot, how you doing? Elias, good to see you. Richard Webb, hello. Chris, hello. And these modules are fantastic, except if you use them with iNav and F722 Maytech board, it sends a bootloader mode, but every other combo works. Good to know. Good to know. Forge soldering today. No, I don't know. Forge soldering. I don't even know what that means. You're going to have to help me out. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and tin these up. Now, the trick is you got to find a pad that you want to use. In my case, on this particular board, I have RX and TX1, so UART1 is right here. I'm just going to go ahead and use that because it's got 5 volts and ground right there. So you can use anything that you have available to you. And in this case, you know, on this is just a test board. I'm going to go ahead and use 1. So 1's available to me. That's the one I'm going to use. All right, so you can see 5 volt, and then hopefully you can see that as I'm going to focus. 5 volt, then ground, then TX, and then RX. We don't worry about SDA and SCL. For the normal configuration on this particular board, that's for a GPS. So we're not going to be using that in this case. So I'm just going to tin these up, and we'll press forward. And I'm going to get a little solder on that iron. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to lay a little solder down and just run across those pads. Boom, those are tinned. We need to do the same thing on this one. Put a little heat on here, and we'll just run right across those pads. A little harder to do because they're a little farther apart and a little bigger, but still pretty easy. That's that. All right, now I'm just going to kind of keep things a little tidy. Let's see. No sledgehammer today. No sledgehammer. Crooker stool. How you guys doing? Well, I'm doing great because I'm about to have Bluetooth on some of my quads. And I like it, man. I like this Bluetooth. Okay, so I just want to clean that up so you guys can see what's going on there. And I'll clean that one up too so you can see what's going on there. Okay, so I guess what we'll do first is now the wires are already tinned and just a little bit of wire exposed. All we have to do is just give it a little touch. That's it. Just a little touch like that, and it's on. And then we'll do ground. So that's volts. Here's ground. We'll do that one next. And then it doesn't matter for receive and transmit which one you use, green or yellow. There's no, I don't know. Maybe there is a convention. I'm not sure if there is one or not. But I normally use, to me, signal is normally yellow. But it can also be white because there's plenty, I don't think I have enough solder on that pad when I tin that one. I didn't get enough on there. So yeah, I think it can be yellow or white. It doesn't matter. No convention here that I'm aware of. Oh, you're going to be a wise guy, huh? Stubborn? Okay, that's on there. Now all we have to do is you know, do the reverse on the flight controller. So we've got 5 volt and ground. Let's tackle those first. So we will do 5 volt is right. Let me make sure that stays in frame so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, there's 5 volt. And then here's ground. Might have been a good idea to double side tape this one down as well. In fact, why not? It just takes a second. Sure makes life easier with that, I can tell you that. So I'll just stick it on there so it doesn't move around while we're soldering. That's helpful. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so here's the ground. All right, now this is it's always the same thing with these devices that you connect. You think of it like a telephone. Think of it like a telephone. When you're talking in your phone, you're going to transmit, but that transmit, when it comes out on the other end, it comes out on the receive. So if you're listening on your phone, the receive always goes to the transmit on the other end. So in this case, my R is white, and that's going to go to my T on the board. So that's that. And then the last one is self-evident. So that's a T. That goes on the R on the board. And there we go. Whoops, I didn't get that one on there. Kind of shoddy soldering job is going on around here. Okay, that's on now. All right, that's it. So that's the soldering. And we can pop these off now. Hopefully you guys get the idea. It's a very simple solder job. There's not much to it. That's the hardest, literally it's the hardest part. So there's the soldering. And now what we'll do is I'm just going to take the Bluetooth, not the Bluetooth, the USB cable, and I'm going to plug it into the board. And we're going to make sure that we got a red light. And we do. You see the little red blinking light? Now what I'm going to do is switch over to a different screen. So give me just a second and I will bring up this one. So now you guys can see, I'm going to move this thing out of the way. And I'll put this over here so you can see what's happening. And now all we have to do is configure Betaflight. So we'll go into Betaflight, and under ports, remember I used UART1. The only thing you have to do is toggle this thing, configuration MSP, and then hit save and reboot. And when you do that, then that's it. That's it for Betaflight. Let me get the phone out and I'm going to turn it on, and there's my Speedybee app. So hopefully you guys can see that. No, let me make the, since we're done with that, I'm going to make the camera a little bigger here. Give me just a second. And I'll zoom out so you guys can see what I'm doing on the phone. So all we do is we launch the Speedybee app, and the Speedybee app is free, by the way. And then you hit this little connect, and it says found Flywoo BT Nano V2. Hit connect, initializing. And momentarily, there we go. We're in Betaflight. So I'll just move the board, and you can see Betaflight over there on the left, it's moving, and you can see it moving here on the Speedybee app. So there you go. That's it. That's how easy it is to add Bluetooth to your flight computer and use it to configure. And it's really very handy. I think I was talking to the guys about what I did at the field when I was working on the Mr. Croc, and the problem was that I was working on the PIDs, and I don't have an in-flight PID configuration setup worked out yet like I do on iNav. I don't even know if you can do it on Betaflight. But anyway, I'd land the quad and I'd make adjustments to my PID, but I do it right here in the app on Bluetooth. So I have my phone sitting next to me. I'd fly the quad, I'd land, open the phone up, connect, make a few adjustments, hit save and reboot, and I go fly again. Didn't even have to monkey with it. So a very simple little way to simplify your configuration effort on your quads. And then, by the way, if you're working on it on the desktop, it's really nice too, because all you have to do is plug in a battery, get your phone out, and you can make your changes. Now, I wouldn't want to do a full configuration with this because the interface is a little kludgy. It does have some issues. Like when you go in and modify PIDs, you click on one of these boxes, and if you go down here to hit save, half the time it moves that little box down there and you can't hit save. The only way you can save it is by rotating your screen and then hitting save. So it does have some issues, but that said, it sure makes configuration pretty easy. So let me go back to the big camera setup, and I will move the phone out of the way so we can see. And let's check the comments and see what you guys are talking about, and then we can wrap it up. I told you it'd be a real simple video today, real easy to do. So analog signal yellow, digital signal white, RX and TX. Analog, RX and white, TX. Is that the convention? All right. Poster putty works great for holding things still. Is there a version due iNav? Yeah, the app will, if you have iNav on your board, the app will connect the same to Bluetooth and it'll load the iNav interface. So it works for both. I don't have one that I can show you right now, but yes, it'll work for both because the app works for both. I think that's it. That's it on the questions. So do you guys have any questions about the configuration or about other things you need to do in Betaflight or anything to do with the board? Simple, right? It's easy. It's like a $6, $7 upgrade, and you get a lot of added convenience when you're at the field and you need to do a little work on your setup. And like I said, you know, the reason I did this is because I'd heard about it and I knew it was possible, but I'd never seen it done, and there wasn't a whole lot of information out there on it, and there wasn't a whole lot of information about the parts. But man, for a $6 part, and that thing's super tiny, you just put a little heat shrink on there, put a little tiny itty bitty piece of double-sided tape on the back, zip tie it to your board somewhere, and man, easy piece of cake to do. So again, I'll show you the part number just in case so you can see it. This is a Flywoo BT Nano V2. I know there are others that work. I know that. But this one, you know, this is the first one I got my hands on, and I like it because it just seems to work every time. So Vaughn Live Tech says, thanks, man. I appreciate your videos. You're welcome. You're welcome. Dare Dad, awesomely simple. Yeah, right? It's super simple and very convenient. I can't tell you when you're fiddling with PIDs and stuff how nice this was at the field to not have to go get the quad, connect it to a computer. Just super nice, real convenient to be able to do that kind of stuff at the field. So. All right, guys. Well, listen, I don't see any other questions. The content speaks for itself. I think we're done at this point. So thanks for joining me on this real quick video on how to connect a Bluetooth module to any flight computer running Betaflight or iNav. I do, Dare Dad, I do have a link in the description for Amazon. I also have one for Pyrodrone, but Pyrodrone unfortunately is now out of stock. So I put the, I do early access stuff for my patrons, and I think a lot of times they go, because they know these things are coming, I think they go buy this stuff up. So, but there are a couple left. I looked just before the video started in the Amazon store, which is run by GetFPV. They still have some, although not Prime, and they're a little more expensive. So try GetFPV directly, or Amazon if you like to source through them. Otherwise, you have to get out there and do some searching. But there's the part number. The Flywoo BT Nano V2. Okay. All right. Good evening, Chris. Thanks for joining tonight. Thanks for hopping in on the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got something out of it. That's all I've got for tonight. Take it easy.